welcome to the Hawks Nest stream show. My name is Brandon Kane. Thank you for watching today as you're getting through your week. One more day to go. That's it. You're almost there. You can smell the weekend coming. And I can smell us getting to just about the end of this draft class as far as looking at all of these prospects and what they're going to bring to the table for our Seahawks moving to the future, or kind of what we're hoping they're going to bring to the table here into the future. We've looked through quite a few of these guys, and we're nearly through everyone. But the one guy I wanted to double back down through here before take a little bit more of a closer look at some of the UDFAs in this class that I kind of like is going to be the Cabeldue. Bryce Cabledue, with the very interesting, unique last name. The kid out of Kansas is who we're going to take a look at today. Seahawks took him in the 6th round of this last draft. And again, this is a spot of the draft where a lot of times you're not going to get a lot of value from it necessarily, or find guys that are really going to be players for you at that point. Most of the time you're kind of sitting, I think, a little bit more into the realm of, well, hopefully he's going to be at least a backup who can come in occasionally, maybe give us a spot starter here or there and hold the line on that. I think in the case of Bryce Cabledue, not to sound like a homer on this one, but I do think that there's a little bit more that he does bring into play. So let's take a look here at Bryce Cabledue, the guy that got in the 6th round, and let's kind of try to understand a little bit of why he drifted in the 6th round, but also why I think there's a little bit more hope. And the place that we got to begin with on this one is the understanding that this trend you've seen in the draft here with both Cabledue and with Zabel is a very common one with the Shanahan, Kubiak, McVay, LaFleur scheme, essentially, that you're looking at taking tackles at the college level and moving them into guard or moving them into center. The reason being is that you really prefer athleticism on your offensive lines as much as being a mauler at the point of attack or a dancing bear. You want those guys that can move, get out in space, hit reach blocks, do a variety of those different things. And it's very hard to find those type of guys at the college level at the guard position. You're going to find guys that are maybe very well-rounded as far as players go, maybe very technically sound, but then they are going to be a little bit athletically limited. A Tyler Booker type from Alabama, who was the first guard taken in this past draft, but who, again, wouldn't have necessarily fit to this scheme exactly. And so that's where first I want to begin with when we talk about Bryce Cabledue is about there's some upside here in what he brings to the table that you wouldn't typically get in the 6th round, and you're really being able to benefit from because of the fact that he's making that positional change, where not every team's looking at him and going, well, we think he'll work at guard. Once we kick him inside here, he'll be fine there. For some teams, they don't lean as much on needing that athleticism for the interior of their offensive line. And so they'd say, look, if he can't make it a tackle, he ain't making it with us. So he wasn't going to be a fit for every team. But the place to talk about with this athleticism and to really drive this point home first and foremost is looking at his relative athletic score, where he ran a 4.85 40, which is for a tackle, is very fast, a 1.71 10-yard split, which was really good. He had a very good shuttle drill as well for a size on that, good vertical, good broad jump. And so you see he's got a 9.5 relative athletic score out of 10 here. But this is for the tackle position. This is him measured up against tackles with those testing times. You move him to guard with these testing times, and now he becomes a 99 percentile athlete for guards coming out of college. So it's not just merely that he's kind of athletic, it's that he is supremely athletic for the position and bringing him in here. And that's the part really got to keep in mind first and foremost. The other nice part that you get with them is that he's been a well-graded player. Here you've got the top-rated tackles in the sport last year. Some familiar names on there: Wyatt Milliam, Armand Mabeau, Chase Lund, Kelvin Banks, Holland Pierce. All these guys were drafted in this recent draft. You got to go down the list a little bit on this one. But once you get down to 34, you see Cabledue there with an 80 grade. So still posted a solid grade there at Kansas as a tackle and implicitly as a tackle. But he's well graded, which you like to see. He's been a guy that has started a lot of games. Another one of these guys in this draft where you're getting him who's played so many starts, we got 3,000 snaps over his college career. This is a 4-year starter. You can see the steady improvement in his game that's going along as he's played more and more and more. You hope they get better. This, I often say, speaks to the ability of that player to maybe give you optimism that improvement's going to come with him as a pro as well. If you see steady college improvement, I think that there's a lot of reason to believe that you get that guy to the pro level, that the work ethic is there, that he will be a grinder, that he will keep working on his game to keep getting better, and better and better. So the athleticism, the starting experience and how long he's played there and how many snaps he's had, which gives him a good level of, I think, refinement and understanding fundamentally. Just that you're not going to have to build this from the ground up with him. This is the antithesis of a guy like an Anthony Bradford that you took a couple of years ago, who only had a couple of starts at the college, 13 starts, I think, at the college level at that time, but he was really an athletic kind of freak on that side. But really played a lot of football out there at Kansas, not really been playing the guard position on that side of it. And so this is going to be a new transition for him. He did go to the Senior Bowl and played some guard at the Senior Bowl, and he looked very comfortable doing so. So it does seem like a transition that is going to be one that I think he's going to be able to pull off. It's not to say that there isn't going to be some bumps in the road with him when he's got to do this kind of stuff, but it is that there's a lot of reason to have some optimism here. The long starting experience, the fact that he's got the relative athletic score that fits well, I think this is going to help him get along his way. I do think that he's got a little bit of some ground to cover in certain spots on this. And we'll see with that. I think especially it's those reach blocks, the pulling at the second level, coming back across the formation. I'm going to show you some snaps here on this that just are the main place I think that stands out that he's got to get a little bit improved on. He's got the wheels to get to the spot. He just doesn't always have the steering wheel to get him to the spot at the right place at the right time to land the block in space. And I think that that's correctable because a lot of times the biggest issue is the guy just doesn't have the legs to get out there. He's just too slow and sluggish. Can't get it done. Not the case with him. It's more of what I like to call a targeting systems issue. Got a little bit of a targeting systems issue, but let's get into the tape a little bit here with Bryce Cabledue and show you what he brings to play here and show you a little bit of, maybe also why he's making a bit of this transition. And Mr. Cabledue is going to be, in some of these reps, not going to make it easy on you, but some of these reps we've got him at right tackle. Some of these reps he's going to be over at left tackle for Kansas. So we'll be a little bit of a mixing up here for you. I'll try to kind of highlight him appropriately on that so you guys can see what he's doing. A few of these first reps are just going to be him in pass pro. I want to say 45 for Texas got drafted last year too. I can't remember, but he's got a couple reps here against 45. Got a couple reps against Alfred Collins, who was just drafted by the Niners. But you can see here, nice setup, gets in front of his guy. He can root down. He's got power and strength to do that type of stuff. So you're not going to really be able to get after him as far as just running him into the backfield. Good job of not letting the guy get his hands off of him, just locks it in. So good power, good steady base beneath him. He can root down pretty well on that. When he had issues as a tackle at times, he would have an issue when it came to the twitchy guys, kind of getting around him and challenging him up space. You can kind of see that right here, where same again now off the right side. He's the right tackle, sorry, the left-hand side of your screen. And you can see here that he does keep him in the front a little bit there, but a little bit of almost kind of a sub-Euro step move there. Kind of allows the guy to grab the edge on him. And that's where you see him on pass pro reps. This is why he's got to transition to guard and not tackle, because he just can't quite stay with these guys when he's got to go lateral like that. That's where they really were able to kind of pin the edge on him and getting his feet to move in that way. Another pass pro rep here. Guy tries to slant inside. Again, he's going to be your right tackle on this place. Unless you hear me say otherwise, look for the right tackle on these reps. But here you get him slanting to the inside shoulder, eats it up, clears him right through. His job here, just getting low, staying with the guy. Stay with the guy, get low. Stay in front. Good feet, keeps his balance. Handles it well. Okay, so again here on the right side, 88 took the corner against him last time. 88's trying to kind of hand fight. I think what you've seen on a couple of these reps already is just look at how he can reset his hands and always get his hands back into the chest. So as the guy's fighting off those hands and trying to get those hands off of him, he gets his hands back in. Now he gets a little huggy at the end there, right there, a little huggy, but he knows it's a quick throw as well, but it's coming out fast. But I like how active he keeps his hands. You're going to get him with quickness. You're not going to get him really with hand usage or that type of thing. It's like this one here where there's almost a slight hold, getting the right tackle. Guy stutters him to kind of get him to bait into that he's coming to cross face him here, but instead he takes the edge. Overall, pretty good rep here. Gets good recovery where he kind of gets him right here, but he gets good recovery and keeps him in front. Nice job. Good little rep there. Again, on the right tackle side here, so just to the right side of your screen, you want to take a look at him here. You're going to see this being a bull rush attempt. You see that's a good job on the bull rush. So strength, rooting down, pretty good. Guys are always going to, at full speed, walk the guy back a little bit. It's a little bit more about, lost my deal. It's a little bit more about then at that point, how fast you allow that to happen. Is it a quick back you up or is it a slow back you up situation? All right. How about an Alfred Collins rep? We might see these two guys go mano-a-mano here at the next level when it's all said and done. You've got him as 77 here. He's got to hit the reach block and pass pro a little bit. Alfred Collins is going to be 99 there, heads up over 64. So this is a rep that you're going to probably see these two guys going at each other here into the future. See how he did. It's kind of more of a help, I guess, right? He's more helping him out. A nice little stiff. Here you go, Charlie, to the chest. How you like that? How you like that, big guy? You ain't going nowhere. How about a little of that? How about some of these yams? A little bit of nastiness to him. He's not a full-on going to dirt you up and pancake you left and right, but he's got a little bit of a, I'll give you something. I'll give you a little bit. Back here again, we've seen Powers just not really going to work against him. The alignment here, you can feel. See how he's got a guy in 4-eye here, 4 tech inside of the tackles, 77 shoulder. So he's got a little bit of a cheat to run this bull rush off of his left shoulder. But see how he just kind of absorbs that? No ground given up. Blitz comes off the backside. But that's not his responsibility there. That's the quarterback's got to get that out hot. Technically, it's really not even the running back because you got the blitzer there too. So the quarterback's just got to get this ball out, which he eventually does. But a good rep by here. Defender kind of gets to cheat up to get up on you there, and you're able to just notice how he's kind of swinging him through the out of the middle of the pocket and starts to subtly kind of push him a little bit more to the right there. Ball gets out nice and fast from the quarterback, which is like what you want to see, but good rep. All right, so this one's going to be with him on the right-hand side again, 77. He's got an edge with a wide 9 look here. So really going to challenge him here to get to that edge. You can see just kind of barely getting there, right? This is why he's not going to be a tackle at the next level. Just can't, does enough, gets enough done here. But the next level, this is going to be too much of a challenge for him, I think, and he's going to lose this too often to remain out at tackle. Gets the job done, but you can see when these guys really can press him to the edge and get him to be a little slow to get the feet moving to meet them up out at the edge, that's where the issues can lie. Comes back against the same defender here on this rep to the left-hand side of your screen, and you're going to see here complete neutralization. You've seen a couple of these reps already where the bull rush doesn't work, then they go to the hand fighting. Hand fighting doesn't get his hands cleared. See that? I mean, eventually the quarterback basically runs into the pressure. But see how the hands, initially I stymie your bull rush, and then I take away your counters. I like this type of stuff from him. There's a very specific place with him in pass pro that's a worrisome spot, but there's spots in pass pro that's really nice. And this does embolden you to believe that, okay, when he goes inside, and now he has to start dealing with those stronger defensive tackles inside, does he have the power to be able to maintain in there? And these kind of reps tell me that he should be able to be all right with that type of stuff. I think it'll be the twitchier 3 techs that give him more of the issue than anything else. Play that one here. Let's go to the next one. Again, here him in 17. 17 having kind of a long day at the office here. Again, tries the bull rush. Doesn't accomplish anything with it. Just completely shut down. So I think he's going to have the power inside to be fine. I'm not saying he's going to be a dominant, blow you off the ball kind of guard. But especially a left guard, which is a little more finesse, I think he'll be fine in there. Picks up the stunter here really nicely. Defensive tackle slides out here. Little kind of a loop there. Left-hand side of your screen is where you want to lock in on this one. Cabeldue is 77, by the way. So 77 is Cabeldue on the outside. Kind of similar reps here on 17 you're seeing here. He tries to get him to slide inside. You're not getting him on inside reps. You're not getting him crossing the face. He's got good lateral movement back to the middle of the pocket. Shown that to you guys on a couple of these reps. Good job rooting down. Good job correcting his hands. Hands start out a little bit wide right here. See where the hand's out wide, then slides that sucker back in the right spot. Nice correction. Good live fire correction, correctable skills on the fly. Dealing with those counters, dealing with defenders trying a couple different things against him. You're going to have to kind of win with plan A against him. You're going to have good plan A to beat him. You try to go to your plan B and C, and I think he's going to be okay. Like I was saying on the other side, and I think I've kind of hammered this point home enough to where you guys can feel it. It's the problems with him is when he just doesn't get his feet out to the edge far enough. He's too short on this kick step drop, and you can feel his feet sometimes are a little little layered, little labored there, getting out to that pass set out to the edge. And then that's where he becomes susceptible. So this stuff doesn't become as much of an issue, of course, once you move him into guard. You turn it into a little bit more of a phone booth situation, and you're going to be fine there. As a run blocker, he can get the job done. Don't think he's going to be dominant there, like I said, but as you don't have to be dominant in this scheme necessarily as a run blocker. It's a lot more with sometimes the positional stuff and angling your body correctly as the ball carrier is going past you, pin and pull blocks, reach blocks, that kind of thing. But here you've got him to the right side. Number 77 is who you're going to want to concentrate on here. And locks up his guy. Doesn't get a lot of movement, but also doesn't get pushed into the backfield. Kind of a stalemate. I think that's what you're going to more often not see with him, but stalemates can win in the zone system. Good little double team there. So you got him now as a left tackle on this one. They bounced him at Kansas between left and right tackle at times. So now he's over at left. And then just widens the defender out, right? So not even really it's not a block here from that left side where he's really pushing. The guy's actually getting into the backfield. But this is the kind of block that you can get done with his own scheme, where other schemes, you got to push this guy off the line, drive him down the line 2-3 yards, create the space for your back. With this one, he just widens him out. The guy wants to first set the edge, so he takes advantage of that by widening him out on that edge set for a nice little gain. It's kind of those blocks that you'll be doing in this system at times. Same thing here, right? Same exact block here. He's your left tackle on this play. Penetration, because the guy's rocking the wide 9, so he's going to penetrate in the backfield. You can't get your hands on him. You can't get your hands on him fast enough to be able to prevent any kind of his ability to get in the backfield a little bit, but you can route him out of the play, route him out of the hole. Use his movement and his ability to want to try to get in the backfield there against him a little bit. That's what the system does. Kind of uses the aggressiveness of the defenders against them. That's a good block. Again, over at left tackle here. This time he kind of gets out to more attack than he does allow the guy to get into him a bit. So gets into his guy there, stays with him. Nice little block. Gets the guy pushed out of the hole. Gives the back something to go through. Other guys kind of mess up their block here, but he does his job. Good hand placement, good hand strikes. Not quite heavy hands, but strong hands. Capable. He can get a little bit of a jolt on you there. I think here he's... Yep, back at left tackle here again. Real legitimate movement on this play. And I'll give him a pancake on this one. I'm giving him a pancake. Couple dollops of syrup on top of that one. Get actual movement. Look at him win the leverage war game here. You're winning the leverage war game when you're down low like this. Would you like to get your hands on him and get locked out and get low and win it that way? Yeah. But because he gets the leverage war one, and this is a rep I wanted to show as much because this is what playing guard is going to be all about, right? Win the leverage war, and then you can drive your man. You got to first win the leverage war and not get too high. And you're going to worry about a tackle, maybe getting too high at times if you got to kick him inside as a run blocker. But here, gets the leverage win, drives his man back nicely. Look at that. And then gets a little bit of the finish pancake, the one-handed finish pancake. Huh? I'll just use the one hand let's flip it over in the frying pan. The one-handed pancake. Really nice rep there from him. All right, so now he's back over here on the right side here against Illinois. You're going to see him as a right tackle here. Bam, right on this side. Again, this is going to be a run block rep. Got to reach a little bit of a reach block here. It's kind of a subtle, a pseudo reach block, but you can see that the defender there is playing that 4-eye technique, 4 inside. So you got to get to that block and then just clears him right out of the lane. Movement. Can you block on the move in this scheme? Do you have that ability to be able to keep your feet moving, land the block? You can see here kind of the guy bounces off of him initially, stay on top of the block, keep yourself in front of the man. It's a skill in itself. A lot of guys, the offensive line can't do this. They just want to be put in front of the guy they're going to block, make my job easy in that way, and I'll get the job done. Some guys can do the movement stuff and do it very seamlessly and easily. All right, right side again here. Look at how far lined wide he is. I mean, my goodness, this is an alignment from Kansas. And they go right over his side. That hurts. This was just kind of a weird rep I wanted to show. But stays in front of his guy. Other people come in on that play and knock him out. Tough dude. Got right back up and kept playing to this one. Those kind of plays can roll those guys' ankles at times. All right, I think we got him over on the right side again here. So keep an eye at the right tackle on 88. Another one of those where you're 4-eye with 88. He's on the inside shoulder. So you got to reach to that block, take 88, move him out of the way. And look at the hole that's left there for the running back to go through. He's basically clearing this. Well blocked up by the rest of the Kansas crew there, but him taking 88, move him out of the hole. These are the kind of blocks you will be executing in this scheme. A couple more run blocks, and we'll get to a few of these other little things I want to show with him. He got some power here. Look, he's on the right-hand side, so he's on the left side of your screen. He's the right tackle, far edge. Watch him just lock this guy out with one arm. Like a DK Metcalf block from the Falcons last year. You ain't going nowhere. I got you. He knows this is an inside zone run. It's part about the nice part. You get a guy who has 3,000 reps in college. They know what block they have to execute for any given play. They know whether or not they've got to drive a guy way off the line of scrimmage. He doesn't have to drive this guy off the line of scrimmage. This guy takes his outside shoulder, just pushes him to that outside shoulder, and that's enough. He's out of the play at that point. So I think you guys get the idea. He's a really solid pass protector, solid run blocker. Neither, what I would say, is he dominant in either. Right tackle here for you to the right side of the screen. But pin block, right? You're not moving this guy. I'm talking about these kind of blocks in this zone-based scheme. It's pin. It's just kind of getting your body angled in the right spot. So here, look at how he angles himself. And now he's completely taken that defender out of the play without actually moving him. The play's going behind him. He's just pinned him. Just pin the block. You don't have to dominate it. And the guy's going to get out front and have a big play. Man versus man system, mano-a-mano kind of systems, less of the zone-based system. You're saying, no, we want you to take this guy on a ride. We want you guys to move this guy 5 yards down the line. We want you to just dominate the block. Here, don't have to dominate. Just position yourself correctly, and you can open this up for a big hole, big run. Really nice job there by him. Really, really, really nice job. How about a pancake? Let's get one more pancake in here for our guy. Let's get one more pancake. All right, we got him here. Right tackle, far right side of the line there. Comes back down and just obliterates this guy. This is another one where this is a reach block. So I think it's 55 of for the white jerseys there on the line of scrimmage. You're going to see on this play, I have to run it a couple of times, he's going to disappear because he crushes this block so hard, the guy just disappears into the field. I mean, he literally dirts him into the turf. It's just this guy's head in the turf after this play. His whole body's beneath the turf. It's just his head above the turf after this block. But this is going over his side. He's got to land this thing. He dominates it. They should have scored a touchdown if the rest of the guys did half of their job, but just crushes the block. It's hard to see, and I don't have the 22 on this from the behind angle to show you as much, but just obliterates his guy on the side. Excellent block there. Should have freed up for a touchdown. Shoulda, woulda. How about Byron Murphy rep? You guys dig that, right? This was a fun one to watch. I didn't get a lot of this, so and even this one's not a pure Byron Murphy rep, just because Byron Murphy's living that life, man, where he can't just be singled up. He's got to be doubled everywhere he's aligned. It don't matter. And the same is true here. Even when he gets a 3-tech rep like he's going to get here a little bit, still is going to end up having to deal with the double team. So number 90 is Byron Murphy from last year here. You've got 77 is going to be your right tackle. So the left side of the screen is going to be our guy Bryce Cabledue here. But he gets kind of in front of Byron for a sec. And it helps when you got your first guy lands the first block and then you're just there to clean up. I thought it was kind of cool, though. I want to show the Byron Murphy rep here. Byron just swings right off the center. Man, can we get that guy? Can we please get that guy some single blocks? Please. All right, more reach block stuff I want to show. I've shown a few of these. I think that you guys have gotten the point on this one pretty good, which is just that he's going to get down and take you out of the play like that when he's got an opportunity there. These are not easy blocks to land. This is more of a pure reach block. He's got to get 2 lateral steps to get the defender who's getting upfield instantaneously, and then try to drive that guy from kind of a side angle from their shoulder, essentially, out of the play. He makes this look a lot easier than this really is. But you can see here, just collapse him right on out of the play nicely. Very good block. Another reach block here. This is more I've got to kind of pull out in space one. So he's your right tackle. You're going to have him pull back out in space. Gets out there, lands the block on 0 nicely. So he's got the mobility. He's got the movement stuff. He can occasionally do some good stuff with getting down to the second level, but the targeting systems are going to be a bit problematic at times. So here is your left tackle. He's going to get down to he's going to get it down here from the left tackle to the linebacker at the second level. Get some heads up. Good job. I think one of the biggest parts in his game, you got to worry about twitchiness and then second level targeting. Accurately landing your block. Here does a great job. Hands inside. Get some good movement here. The rest of his teammates don't get the job done on the play, but he does a good job there. Again, a good second level block here. Didn't get as many of these on tape with him. These kind of blocks where he's got to climb, scrape down out, get to the second level. There's a lot of whiffs there on tape with him, but this is a good one. Go find that guy. You're going to be asked to do this in this system. Get to the linebacker, land the block. Does so well. I did mention targeting systems are a little bit off. It can be a little bit like, you got to find somebody, buddy. You can't just completely go running down the field and get nothing. So he's your right tackle here. Watch for him pulling back across the formation post snap. Whiff. Doesn't find anybody. Kind of tries to haphazardly find somebody that he can swing at late in the play. Get a hat on a hat here. Sometimes I'm watching where I'd like to see him get a little bit more of that at times. They're just a little bit, especially with his athleticism. They shouldn't be able to avoid you as easily as they do at times. Right tackle again here, getting to the second level on the linebacker. Misses the linebacker makes the play. Linebacker kind of whiff out on that one. You'd like to see him come down under control here and then protect that outside shoulder. Force the linebacker to reroute off of your inside shoulder. Take a longer path to get to the ball carrier. You're giving him more of a pure and simple path to get to the ball carrier on the outside out there. This is going to be an outside zone run the way that they're running this out of shotgun. So a few of these are going to be just a couple misses. I ain't going to belabor this point too much, but this is the part I'm going to be watching for in his game to see if this improves into training camp. I mean, another rough one here. He's your left tackle. Pulls back across the screen, misses that guy, almost allows a TFL there. And then even once he comes off of it, he's still kind of unsure about where he's going to go. And, that guy's already kind of blocked, buddy. Targeting systems, just a little bit off. Just a bit. Just a bit at times. We got him at left tackle here. Going to get down to the second level. Right there at the left-hand side, top of your screen there a little bit. Tries to get down. Kind of doesn't end up really blocking anybody. See that? What are we doing here, buddy? Come on, find somebody. Find somebody. And meanwhile, his running back is got guys racing around him. It's just like, look to your right. Get the head on the swivel a little bit. He gets a little bit of tunnel vision here and just doesn't find anybody. So a little bit of this is on the tape with him. Just a little bit. Going to pull back across the screen here on this one. I can find you some reps where he's successful. This one's almost there. Almost gets the linebacker. Does enough, I suppose. You can see he's got the mobility. The movement's there. He's a very smooth moving tackle. That's really light feet for a guy that size. So that part does stand out, and this is something that you feel like this could be correctable to me. I feel like I can get good coaching to correct the targeting stuff. The stuff I can't coach is whether or not you're going to be a guy that's going to be able to get to the second level. That you can you move to the spot there and get there on time? Right tackle here. Again, the second level, just not finding anybody. Just kind of feels a little confused when he gets in the second level about who he's supposed to go after. There's a lot of these reps on the tape at times on the second level stuff. How about a Zerzon Newton rep here? Let's get a second round pick for the Washington Commanders. Had a really good year last year for them. So you've got 77 is going to be your right tackle here on this play. Zerzon Newton is in that 4-eye kind of technique there on his inside shoulder. Let's see how he holds up here against Newton on the first rep. Not too shabby. This is the kind of guy he's going to be blocking now when he gets kicked into guard. This is going to be the 3 techs he's going to have to handle. So good initial block, just not able to quite sustain it as Newton's able to kind of feel where the running back's going on that other side. Gets right off the shoulder and goes in partially there and making the play. Not a bad rep, but I don't know if it's a win rep either on that one. Got one more here with Newton. So right tackle is where you're going to want to look. Newton with the 4-eye kind of feel for it here. He blocks down to him. And again, the sustaining aspect of things. Initial hands on him, really nice. Sustain is just not quite there in holding up on this play on Newton. Running back takes a little bit of a trepidatious path here. Kind of takes his time to go and find the hole and kind of rolling around all over the place a bit. But 2 blocks here on Newton, a little bit on the sustained part. I'd like to see a little more improvement. Good initial win. Good initial win. Just sustain that block a little bit more, my guy. And the pulling stuff is there, where there is some accuracy there with him in pulling. A lot of this in Kansas and asking him to do this. Here he gets a little bit hung up as a right tackle, running into his own guy for a second, gets blasted back, but able to kind of recover and still find a guy. There is some good reps with him pulling, and the athleticism is there. So I do just hope that this is a place where the coaching staff can get this a little more corrected on his ability to be able to, you can get to the spot, now land the block. Kind of like you can see here, this is a big play for them. It's going to be your right tackle here. Pulls all the way back across the formation. He's got his guy right here, right? Dead to rights. You're the lead blocker. Running back's on your back hip. Land this block. It ends up being that the defender ends up widening himself out too much to where the hole just opens up on its own a little bit here. But you can see that he gets going a little bit too far past him. targeting systems. Do you land it, or are you just kind of a little off? Just a little off. You get a big run out of this play nonetheless. But when you just run it again here, you'd like this to be a little bit more, get some more contact here. You almost completely whiff on that one. And he doesn't really do like a stutter step to lose you here. He's just sliding back to where the run's going. Just a little bit there. Last pull rep here I'm going to show, and then we'll call it on that. Another one pull back across the formation. Just can't seem to find anybody. Right tackle. This one's not as much his fault. There's just nobody there when he comes walking through the front door and nobody's home. So not as much as his fault on this one. But it was just kind of funny how many reps there would be at times with him where he just wouldn't find anybody. Let's get a good one to finish this off here. Pull back across the formation, your right tackle. Lands the block well here. This is more like it. Bam. Make sure you hit that initial block. Those kind of second level, those pulls, you don't have to have a dominant block, but you do want to have where you land it. You don't want the whiff. You got to avoid the whiff there. That's the worst case scenario on those kind of blocks. So it does land it here. It's got the mobility to get out there and get the job done. Just got to clean up a little bit of the targeting systems, man. That's all I'm saying. Just got to get a little bit of that ability to be able to hone in on that deal, you know, on Top Gun where they're you know, he needs to get more red. He's firing his missiles before he's getting the red lock. That's essentially what's happening at times with Bryce Cabledue. But it's a very not minor thing. It's certainly a thing that could end up being, you know, an impediment to his growth, and how he deals with kind of twitchier guys. I think at times from the 3-tech role is going to really determine whether or not he's going to be able to be successful as a pro, if he's going to be able to round into becoming a starter. But the place that I want to have a lot of optimism on this with Bryce Cabledue is there is potential for him to be a starter, much more so than you would typically see with the 6th round offensive lineman that you would take. And the reason being, in my opinion, are those two factors I mentioned at the top. Number one, athletically, checks every box. Athletically, he's a 99 percentile athlete for the guard position. And you combo that then with a guy that's been a 4-year starter, and you're getting a guy with a lot of wisdom for the position, a lot of understanding what kind of block he needs to bring into play. When you get the guys that have played 4 years, they've got a pretty deep toolkit. They have a variety of things that they can kind of call upon. They're not just trying to get by on guile and their athletic gifts. A lot of times they've had some chances to kind of get things a little more into that refined state of things. And I do think that you do get that with Bryce Cabledue on more of, I think, some of the traditional blocks in there he's got to kind of land. Where he loses in a very specific spot, and it's those spots that I think is going to be somewhat correctable. Targeting systems, I think a good coach can get you better at being under control and how to land those kind of second level blocks a little bit easier. It's the mobility side that I can't teach as a coach when it comes to that. And then when it comes to what were the issues for him at tackle, and there wasn't many of them, but one of the issues would have been those twitchier guys that could take that outside shoulder. You kick him into guard now, there's less of him having those twitchier guys. They're less twitchy, that's for sure. But then you've got a little bit more help on either side of you. So there's a little bit of ways to kind of at that point maybe mitigate that place that you're a little bit deficient in. Let's call it that. But Bryce Cabledue's got a lot of potential, and I would not be surprised if we do come down the line, let's say a year from now, and come to find that we see Zabel slide into center, and that this guy ends up sliding into left guard and becoming your starting left guard. It's not that I'm predicting it will happen. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if it were to happen, because this is the pathway that you have seen so many lines built in other teams with this system. You want the highly drafted guys for sure, but sometimes guys go down deeper in the drafts for a variety of different reasons. And in his case, I think I've spoken to a few of those reasons that popped up here, which I'm not sure are all that much fair to Bryce Cabledue, a guy that's had this kind of long career he's had, that's been as good as he was, who had a good Senior Bowl when you kicked him into guard to give you a lot of optimism in his reps there that he could go get the job done at the next level. I think that the draft was a little bit unkind, unfairly so to Cabledue, another guy that I had much more higher aligned than where he was picked in this draft. Not that I had him like a 2nd or 3rd round grade, but just a round or two higher than where he was taken, which was a pretty common theme from your Seattle Seahawks here throughout this draft, where they got guys that I was like, man, I had that guy much higher up than where you were able to get him. Be it a Torrey Horton or a Damian Martinez or a Ricky White or a Bryce Cabledue. Go down the list on these guys and you go, wow, you really got the great value there for where you were able to select that guy, which is just makes it all that much more of a tremendous pick. And hopefully he can round into shape. We know this offensive line really does need that right now. And we have no starting really left guard as it stands. We don't even know who the depth guy is at left guard behind the starter. So getting him in there, having him be able to find his footing there at left guard and hopefully find his footing really quickly could take this line into 2025 and beyond into a really, really nice place, because these are the positions on that interior line we now need to see settled. I think we know Cross is going to be stalwart there at left tackle. We're hoping Lucas has gotten past his knee stuff at this point. We've got Zabel as one of those left guard or center positions we know he's going to slide into. We feel like Haynes will eventually find some footing with a better schematic fit here with the zone scheme. But what about the left guard? Can that thing stabilize? Can we get that figured out? And maybe it'll be Zabel. Maybe he'll go to center, but Cabledue does give you another option there. So good player. He's got some good length. I did mention that as well, too. 32.5-inch arms. So he's not 33 pure, but he's very close there. That'll work when you kick him inside. That was another one of the worries that you had with him as a tackle if you went to the next level, is he's got a little bit of the Will Campbell situation going on where you go, ooh, the arms are a little short. And I think that's also a little bit of why you had him have the problematic issues with losing his outside shoulder at times as a tackle, is that if his feet weren't there to get him in the right place, he couldn't lean back on the long arms to get the guy pushed out the back of the pocket. At that point, the guy could find a little bit of a pathway to getting around to the quarterback. So again, something that's going to be, I think, at that point, a little bit better mitigated once you kick him on into guard, where it's not going to be as much of an issue. I thank you guys for watching today. If you could for me, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. It helps the channel grow. I appreciate that tremendously if you guys can do for that. I thank everybody watching. We've had some nice, real good growth here with doing these daily shows, and you guys have really reacted well to it. So we are going to keep these things motoring along and going. And we've got a show pop up tomorrow. I forget what we have going on tomorrow. We got a show coming in tomorrow on Friday, though. What were we looking at? Reminder here. Oh, big nickel, little nickel. That's right. So tomorrow we're going to be looking at the Nickelback situation for your Seattle Seahawks. And this is going to specifically be covering a little bit and hopefully giving you guys a little bit of a clearer picture as to what you're going to seek to do with the Nickelback situation. Because when we drafted Nick Emawari, a lot of people just instantaneously were jumping on the boat saying, well, this means that he's going to play the Kyle Hamilton role in this defense now. And I think that where there is going to be definitely some openings to utilize him in the ways that Kyle Hamilton was utilized with the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to show a little bit of some tape here there with Kyle Hamilton with the Ravens in Mike Macdonald's last year there, which will hopefully kind of show you that I think what it's actually going to be is a little bit of an amalgamation. That what you're going to see with the nickel position is, rather than it being, is it a Nick Emawari, is it a Witherspoon, the answer is going to be yes. And that I think you're going to have at times Emawari in that slot. I think at times Witherspoon is going to be leaning in there as much. Some of this is going to be dictated by maybe how a little bit weaker you are in the outside corner position, and that you want to maybe have Witherspoon out there instead of Jobe at times, especially if you can bring Emawari in there and not lose a beat when it comes to the slot position. Some of this is going to be dictated, I think, by tight end kind of matchups, where is it a week where you're going up against an Amon St. Brown and you want more of a Witherspoon in the slot in that kind of situation? Whereas if you're going up against a team that's maybe more tight end dependent and trying to lean on really finding mismatches with the tight end out of the slot, maybe there's going to be some more times then you're going to see Emawari now moved in there and then you kick Witherspoon to the outside. But I'm going to be showing some cut-ups there from the Ravens in that 2023 season there with Mike Macdonald and how they used Kyle Hamilton, which I'm hoping will give a little bit more clarity on to the way that they're going to use Emawari and the way that I think Witherspoon will still be pretty much fitting to very much a similar role that he's played in the past. There's some other ways that they'll get Emawari on the field, I think. Dime look situations, I think he'll be probably your dime cornerback. I think goal line, you're going to see him down there and having a role in those kind of situations there. So he'll be kind of peppered in a little bit there, but I do still think Witherspoon will be the main man there. But you have some nice versatility that we're going to talk about tomorrow, and flipping one out for the other when you want to go matchup dependent, when you maybe want to try to, erase a bigger player, erase the smaller, twitchier, guy that can just kind of stop and start and be really hard to stay with Witherspoon, who's well suited to be able to handle that. So a good problem to have, and it will give Mike Macdonald just one more little kind of twist of the knob, pull of the lever that he can pull at one point or another to give offenses yet more different looks. That's the other thing that this is going to provide. So we will be discussing that tomorrow and getting into that one on Friday. Got some other shows for next week as well. All locked on in. I thank you guys for watching today. Definitely think, Seth, that he's got a potential of being a starter, being Bryce Cabledue. I don't know if I'm going to say I'm going to absolutely say with certainty it can happen, but this guy's got the goods to make it happen. That's for sure. I wonder if power will be an issue for him. That's going to be a big key with him, King Bomber. I think he can win the leverage war inside, but can he sustain the blocks and get true drive in the inside as a left guard? I think he can do enough. I think the systems fit is the important part of this, that the zone scheme system fit is not always one where you've got to be as much of a pure driver off the line. There's going to be a lot more help with double team blocks with the center. There's going to be a lot more of those kind of hit the reach blocks, pull in space, hit the block for just 2.5 seconds and the running back will be past your outside shoulder. So some of it gets mitigated, but it is going to be a question with a guy like that when you kick him from tackle to guard in that way. That's no doubt. Key Bomber, did I get a chance to take a look at the Brock Purdy contract? I did. The Niners set it up relatively well, but at the end of the day, you're still spending the money that you're spending on the guy, which is significant for the quarterback position. And you've spent the last 3 years having a very cheap amount of money thrown at the quarterback position. And that's allowed you to make all of these guys on your team these highest paid players for their position. But now you're paying your quarterback. And the numbers are down a little bit lower, maybe than we would have thought. But at the end of the day, still with it, it's going to be pretty big cap hits over the next few years. And they're not going to probably be able to just get out of it until after at least year 3, which again is on the whole point of that one was, it speaks to the Niners fans and how much they're not in on Brock Purdy, that so many of the Niner fans are talking about the contract in terms of how quickly they can get out of it. That to me, that is a tell there right there that the Niner fan base knows that this is not an ideal situation to be giving this guy $53 million on average. And even when you do get out from under the contract, you're still going to then eat a substantial amount of dead money that season when you do so. So you go, okay, well, we can get out of it after 3 years. But then you've got this huge chunk of change that you're then sitting on that you got to eat in dead money. And the thing that stands out with the Niners recently, especially this year, is that you got a lot of years here coming up where you're going to be eating a lot of dead money. They're at like $70 million right now. They're going to have another, I think, like $20 million already on the book for next year. You're going to have Trent Williams retire next year on top of that. That's more dead money there. The Brandon Ayuk contract, that's more dead money there. They're going to eventually try to move him. And then you get around to Brock Purdy, then year 3 or whatever, and then you're releasing him, and then there's that more dead money. So the Niners are setting themselves up for potentially having that kind of cycle continue into the future in this way. But it wasn't a killer contract. It wasn't one that was going to decimate them. It's still one that you're going to feel the pain on that. You're going to have to make tough decisions. You're going to have to let players go because you signed this Brock Purdy contract. That is going to be the reality of the situation. Seth, do you think Witherspoon can be just as good out on the boundary? I think that he's at his best as a slot, Seth, but I think that he's better than Job as an outside corner. And this is more about getting your best 11 guys out on the field at times more than it is about Spoon, where Spoon would be at his best. So I probably would go to that. I think Witherspoon's been a little bit reduced when you've asked him at times to move to the outside. He can do it, but he just seems to be better suited to the slot. Bomber, Cabledue versus LeMay versus Haynes week 1. Yeah, I think he's getting more left guard. I think Haynes and LeMay are pure right guards. At center, do I think Jalen Sundell will fit the scheme better than Olu? Yeah, I think from a standpoint of Sundell's more athletic, but Olu comes from the major program. Olu might have a little more refinement than Sundell. So, I mean, what wins out at the end of the day there, Seth? I have a true question on that because I don't really know necessarily what Kubiak's going to favor. They're two very different style of players. You would think Sundell would have a little bit of the advantage, being that he's got the mobility the system wants so badly, but Oluwatimi's got that traditional kind of leader vibe he pulls from the center position, and a guy that's technically very sound who might be able to get around some of his athletic deficiencies. I think that's a tough one to call right now, Seth. I think the team is legitimately very high on Sundell, and it's just kind of hard to know what Kubiak kind of leans towards. Hey, Brian, it's good to see you, man. King Bomber, I saw a comment comparing Purdy's contract and Darnold's contract with year 1 cap hit. Yeah, I mean, it's you can't really compare those two deals in my opinion, because one's a 5-year deal, one's a 3-year deal. So when you look at the first year cap hit on that, it's like, yeah, we didn't take the full 4 years to massage out bonus money in the way that we did there. We've got a much quicker and sooner out. The contract is for substantially less. I mean, what is he making? He's much closer, isn't he, to like a third in total contractual dollars to what Brock Purdy made on his deal? So I don't. Yeah, that would be a weird way of looking at it, because there's more going on in those two situations. And the other part of this is that the Niners are needing to lower down their cap hit as low as they possibly can in this first year with Brock Purdy, because of the fact that they don't have any cap space. Seattle could afford to beef in a little bit more of the contract with Darnold into the first year, because they are sitting on cap space. And we got right now $31 million and another $8 million in reserve, potentially with the Fant release if that comes down too. So you got a lot. You got to be a lot there where you could afford to kind of have it a little more front loaded in. But that's part of, like, from what we were talking about yesterday in the show with the contracts and the cap situation for the Hawks, both now and into the future. This is why it's looking so good, because you've not robbed from tomorrow for today. You've set up tomorrow to be able to be rocket fuel, to be able to really now send this ship up into the atmosphere. Seth says, I was watching Last Second Sports, and Jesse seems to think it's a very easy contract to get out of. Yeah, they must not have a lot of confidence if they want to get out of it early. It's a tell, Seth. I was joking on the Roundtable show a couple of days ago. Listening to the Niners talk about the Brock Purdy contract reminds me of an old friend back in my 20s. And this guy had fallen for this girl that was really, really had some issues, some big time issues. And she definitely was off live wire. And he knew it. But, some guys just get wrapped up with girls. Girls get wrapped up with guys that are just, there's just something about him. There's just something about him. And so he was going to move in with her. And we're in the moving truck, and I'm helping him move. And we're driving to the new apartment. And as we're driving, he's in there in silence for a moment. And he kind of looks over at me and he goes, we found out, we signed this 18-month lease, but we found out that we can actually get out of it after like 6 months. And I just smiled at that time thinking, it's not a great indicator that this thing's going to work out with you guys, is it? You're walking in before you're even moved a single piece of furniture into the building. You're thinking about the way of how you can get away from that person. And I think that's the very same thing that we're seeing with the Brock Purdy contract, and that they're doing the same where it's like, no, I love the contract. I mean, it's great. It's really good value. It's awesome value. It's going to be really, it's much less than I would have thought they would have paid. I mean, it's really in a place that's, could have been so much worse. And we get out from it, but we can also get out from it in 2 years. Like, well, which is it? Is it a good contract where the value is really nice? Or is it that you can get out of it in 2 years? So I think that there's a little something there as far as getting out of it goes. And whether or not they can get out of it or how they can get out of it, looking at the contract here, and it is updated now and over the cap. So this current year, he's going to be sitting on $14 million. That goes up from the $5 million hit that he was at before this contract was signed. 2026, the cap hit goes up to, at that point, $24 million. So year 2, $24 million. You cannot get out from under the deal there in year 2. You can see there's $66.16 million. So you are locked in the contract during that time. 2027, contract goes to $30 million. Again, can you get out of it in year 3 at this point? Yeah, but you're not saving any money by getting out of it in year 3. So, do you want to sit on $35 million of dead money moving on from Brock Purdy after year 3? That's where they're going to say, well, we can get out after year 3. We can find a way out of it. Well, you could find a way out of it, but it's still going to cost you money to do it. It's really, at the end of the day, going to be into the 4-year contract. By year 4, they're probably restructuring, I would say, here if he's still on the roster. But yeah, it's not a bad contract for the Niners, but it's still not like you're not feeling the pain on this one. It's not like they're just able to moonwalk through this and he's just like another little additional contract under the books. especially considering that it's not just the Brock Purdy in a vacuum contract. It's Brock Purdy's contract now on top of all of these other contracts you put out there where you've made guys damn near the highest paid at their position across the board. Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk. You just made George Kittle the highest paid tight end in the sport. You just made now Fred Warner the highest paid tight end in the sport with still years remaining on his contract. You can kind of go down the list on this one a little bit, but there's Christian McCaffrey. I think they're still spending like $5-6 million on Kyle Juszczyk. You're really top heavy as a roster right now, I think, in how you've built this thing, and it can work, and you can slide through if guys can maintain their health. But let's face it, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, all of these guys have had injury situations in recent years that have been pretty major. So I'm a little reticent there. Little reticent on them with how they've set this up. It's definitely could topple over very quickly for them if they can't maintain the health. They left off Nick Bosa. There's another one. King Bomber says, praying that Sam Darnold won't regress. Yeah, I am too there, King Bomber. I mean, you do hope he doesn't come in and go take the big step backwards. We'll see on that. We'll see. They've done a good job of setting things up for him to find some success here, I think, but he's got the track record, so it's hard to say. King Bomber, and it was a Niner fan. Seth says, I don't understand why they believe Purdy could have gotten so much more and it's a cheap deal. What other team is willing to pay Purdy that much? I brought the same thing up on the roundtable a couple of days ago as well, Seth, to him. And I didn't get an answer back from Jesse on this. Because I said, your fan base is all patting themselves on the back because it's $53 million on average and not $65 million. Who was paying Brock Purdy $65 million in the NFL? Who was trading for Brock Purdy? Who's going to move a first-round pick and then give Brock Purdy $53 million in the NFL? There is not one team that would do that. The Niners were negotiating against themselves. That's it. And I think in a lot of ways they kind of blinked. I would have made him play out another year of his rookie deal myself. I would have said, look, you're more of a product of what we put around you more than it is that you're just so super awesome as a player. Seth says, yeah, even Jesse says just a $35 million dead money hit. It was like, that's a lot, man. Yes. Well, that's what I say, where it's that thing like my buddy driving in that truck, heading to go move in with that kind of crazy girlfriend. It's just like, they know what's up. He knows in his heart that this isn't right. He knows that they don't want to do this, but he's got to, in a lot of ways, kind of talk himself into a little bit and try to find, I think, the silver lining, which I would probably be doing in his same situation as well. But when you're going searching for silver linings, you might be paying attention to some of the, really what's the theme that sort of carries the day on this one, which is that you paid Purdy after 3 years, you gave him a lot of money right now, and your cap's already kind of stretched pretty thin. That's the bottom line of it. But I don't think that they're super committed to him there long term. And I would reckon to guess we get through 3 years of this contract with Purdy, I think I would be pretty surprised if he would remain with the Niners into year 4. If I was making my predictions. Yeah, I don't want any of our guys in the Olympics with flag football. That's going to make me nervous. Yeah, third stringers should be all that plays. We don't even need to have NFL pros play the flag football leagues. We have guys that on Sundays are going to be better out there on their local parks playing with each other. They're going to be better than whatever else the world's going to have to offer. Like our minor league crews could dominate anybody else there in flag football. We don't need the starters out there doing it, man. Ricky says, what's your ideal starting 11 on offense and defense, including the return guys? Love your channel, brother. Well, thank you, Ricky. I really appreciate that, man. Ideal starting 11 on offense would be, it's a good question. Well, you're going Cross, Zabel. I would say probably Oluwatimi, but I'm not sure on that. Christian Haynes at right guard, and then Abraham Lucas at right tackle. Right now, Noah Fant, A.J. Barner, depending on the kind of play call you call, will be your starting tight end. I think Barner for your inline stuff, Fant's more of your H-back stuff, so it's kind of dependent a little bit there between the two of those guys. Walker's your starting a running back. Obviously, Darnold's your starting quarterback. JSN would be your slot. Cooper Kupp is your other starter. I think that the team will rock those two out on the field at the same time on base downs for a little bit. But this is where there's going to be a mixture there, Ricky, where there's going to be times where you might have JSN off the field and a Scandling and Kupp out there in base situations. In 3 wide receiver sets, I certainly see JSN being out there, but I think you'll have a little bit of a mixture with who's the X and how then Kupp moves to like Z if he's off the X. So Scandling, maybe you're going to have some of Arroyo out there at the X. It's going to be a little bit, I think, flipped around in how they put the formational groups out there and how those guys go versus just the starter that's out there playing and play out, going and going and going, if that makes sense. Defensively, unfortunately, Byron Murphy is going to be your starting nose tackle. Leonard Williams, your starting 3 tech. Your 2 starting edges will be Boye Mafe and DeMarcus Lawrence. And when you're starting your first starts, I think with Hall, you're going to be more about getting him in there as a pass rusher. Jones and Knight are your linebackers. Job and Reek Woolen are your outside corners, but you're in base and you're only having 2 outside corners, then Witherspoon's your outside corner with Woolen. Witherspoon then gets kicked into the slot in nickel situations. And then you've got Julian Love and Kobe Bryant will still be your starter this year. Nick Emawari will be flexed in rotationally wise, package wise. So he's, Emawari will be your dime starting cornerback. He'll be essentially your 4th cornerback in dime coverage. He'll be a goal line guy down there where you probably take a Kobe Bryant off the field and then move him into strong safety into goal line. I would do that if I was Mike McDonald. There'll be times you'll put him in the slot and flex out Witherspoon to the outside so that you can maybe get a little bit better matchup, especially that tight end stuff. So it'd be kind of mixed all over the place there a little bit with Emawari, but those would be your basic starters. Brian says, Purdy is the hot girl you spend time and money on, but never close the deal. That's right. You don't marry her. You just say, look, let's have some fun. Let's have our summer fling. You know what I mean? And then you keep it moving. I think that's what the Niners should have done this offseason, but I think that the Niners have a very big issue with making the tough decisions. I think that they get very nostalgic. I think that they fall in love with their guys too much. I think that we had this problem at the time in our Super Bowl run where we just couldn't make enough tough decisions that needed to be made. And when we started to make them, it was almost kind of too late. When you started to be willing to move off of a Sherman, when you started to be willing to move off of Earl Thomas, it was that was too late. You need to kind of embrace that a little bit earlier on. Embrace the change of the NFL. That's the way this thing works. It's never stagnant. It's never the same. You don't get to have a same team for 10 years. The thing is always in kind of a rotational state of things. And the Niners had an opportunity this offseason to move Kittle for a 2nd-round pick. They could have moved Brandon Ayuk last year for a 2nd-round pick with the Steelers and not have gotten themselves into that contract. And much again now with Brock Purdy, they just kind of refuse to make the hard decision. They kind of take the easy way out a little bit. And I think they're going to pay the price for it down the road with it. Seth says, I hope we trade Fant. Can't justify that contract. I think John's trying to do it, Seth. I don't know if he's got a lot of takers at that contract right now. With even only 1 year left on the deal, do you want to spend still that base salary for Fant this year if you're a team? Maybe you can find somebody. I think it'll probably end up coming down to him being probably released because you're not going to be able to find a partner on that one. HHGB, was your friend trying to drown the slippery otter? Harpoon the salty longshoreman? Verb the objective noun when he moved in. I think he was trying to drown the slippery otter. That is for sure. And every guy, I've known girls the same way with crazy dudes, it works both ways on this one. And that's, love's a funny thing in that way. The heart wants what the heart wants. And sometimes the brain and the heart are completely separate in that process. Space, what's up, man? It's good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing good. Ricky says, spot on with what I thought the starters would be. Now, who would be your surprise player who is a rookie or a veteran backup who can take a current starter's job? Ooh, great question. I think the guy that would stand out to me in this respect of things would be, I'm making sure of my answer, by the way. The guy that stands out to me is going to be Sundle, Ricky. He's kind of an unknown quantity to me a little bit. And the other part of that, though, is that he is so much of a different player from Oluwatimi with the athleticism and the movement-based skills. And that's such a big part of typically what makes the Shanahan-Kubiak kind of system work, is having a center that can actually get out there and move. It loves those kind of players. So he would be the guy that jumps out to me that would have the most opportunity to go over there and sort of steal that away from Oluwatimi. Can't think of there being a lot of other positions outside of, Christian Haynes getting upended by Luamea at right guard, or upended maybe even Bradford. Finally, the light bulb comes on for him. Probably one of those two interior offensive line positions would be the ones that are most up in the air. But you got a lot of places too on this team that are so blocked in, Ricky, as far as starters and where you guys, you're returning all 11 defensive starters essentially. You'll flop out Lawrence early downs, but that's just because he's such a good run defender versus Hall in the run game, and Hall will certainly get his share of reps coming in as a pass rusher. Seth says Torrey Horton taking over for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I like it, Seth. That's a good one too, man. That's a great suggestion on that one. It's good to see his face. Hope you're doing well, man. Seth says Damian Martinez taking over running back 2 for Charbonnet. Ooh, let's go, Seth. I like Seth's got some bold takes on this one. I like that. I definitely think Damian Martinez is going to find his way to getting some carries this year. Somehow or another, he's going to find his way, I think, to get a few in there. And he's going to be a fun guy to watch in preseason, as he's just such a bull. He's just trying to gore everybody. All right. Well, let's put a beat on that one here as we will wrap this show up today. Be back tomorrow. We're going to be looking at the nickelback position, looking at Emawari, looking at Witherspoon. How do you flip them in? How do you utilize them to get the best out of them? Can you make it matchup based dependent? Is there just a wholly different role that you would have Emawari run into that's not going to be having him in the slot as much? The answer is a little bit complicated. We got to get into the weeds on this one a little bit tomorrow to kind of get the full breadth of what the Hawks are probably looking to do here with Emawari and Witherspoon and how the alignments are going to work. It's a great problem to have. And this defense has got a lot of different parts that really do work well together, where Mike McDonald going into the lab this offseason and really trying to dream up some creative things. I feel like he's got a lot to work with here talent-wise, and with guys that have a lot of variety of different skills to continue to press forward what he wants to do, which is create that confusion and make those offenses uncertain about what they're seeing prior to the snap so that he can dominate them post-snap. And that's what you've done with some of these players you brought in, and your ability to kind of mix and match this stuff a little bit. And I think it's going to make it really hard on offenses, especially having year 2 of McDonald where these players are just going to understand the system that much more fluidly and be able to do those little bit extra details that maybe Mike McDonald had to hold back last year, because it is such a complicated defense to learn, and it does take some time for it to kind of get fully onboarded. But we will be covering that tomorrow. I do appreciate you guys watching today. If you can do me this favor, hit that like button, sub on up if you get the chance. It's a small little thing, but it's a big thing where whether you're hitting the like button, whether you're subbing up, both of those two acts push me out to YouTube, push me out there to those Hawk fans that are looking for great Seahawks content, and help us continue to grow here at the Hawks Nest. A couple of other little notes that I wanted to bring up. I had meant to, and I will go ahead and after the show and get this put down in the description section below. But we announced on Roundtable Sports that in early October, we're going to be doing a meet and greet for the NFC West Roundtable, and it's going to be actually in LA. So you go to LA, come meet up with me. We're going to be doing some tailgating. We're going to have a night before thing, meet up at the bar. We're all going to get tickets in the stadium together where we'll have everybody sitting around each other. So you can get on that right now. We're trying to see how many people we can get to sign up on this. I know it's going to be a little bit harder because it's not a Hawk game that's playing. It's going to be between the Rams and the 49ers. But it's being a cool meet and greet session with the Roundtable Sports people. And if you look in the description section of this video, which I will post after we're live today, I'll go get that put down in the description. You can get a link to that deal and how to get signed up for it. It is $300. $300 does get you access to the night before party, and then does get you tickets to the game in LA. And that's tickets in that stadium are very expensive. That's why the price is up a little bit higher on that one, because they're not super cheap to get in there. But if you want to be a part of that, do look down the description section below. I'll get that link put into there. Also, didn't get a chance to announce it, but I do now have all of our audio podcasts here for the show going out to the Believe Network. I've signed an agreement with them. We're now locked in together on that. So if you're looking for audio-only versions of the podcast, please do go to the Believe Network, as you will find all the Hawks Nest episodes over there in audio form. It's a free app to download on that side of it. Really looking forward to being able to work with them as we go on in the future there. So do keep an eye on that. We've got a load of shows coming for you here through this off season. We're going to keep it rolling on into next week and into tomorrow as well. So do tune in on that side of it. I thank you guys for watching today. I appreciate you guys as ever for all you guys do for this channel, as you guys have been amazing this off season with the support and watching and locking in, hitting that like button, doing all I ask you guys to do. So really thank you guys for that. We'll be back in less than 24 hours. But until that time, don't you ever forget. I got to teach. See, it's so important. It made me sneeze. That's how important it is that you don't forget. Don't you ever forget. Don't do it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Go Hawks.